They don't want me to throw the parties no more. We ain't gonna stop. We gonna keep on having. You gonna hear about my party. They're gonna be shutting them down. They're gonna probably be arrested.
I have a lot of people who have asked me for pardons. I call him Puff Daddy has asked me for a pardon.
For 3 decades, Sean Diddy Combs was not merely a participant in the American cultural landscape, he was one of its primary architects. He was the man who invented the remix, the mogul who turned bad boy records into a global philosophy, and the host whose approval could anoint the next generation of superstars. To the public, he was the embodiment of the American dream, a paperboy from Harlem who built a billion-dollar dynasty through sheer will, charisma, and hustle. He was the Black Gatsby, hosting white party galas in the Hamptons where the elite of Hollywood and Wall Street clamored for an invitation. The image was one of black excellence, unbridled joy, and limitless success. But as we have learned in the truest and darkest of crime narratives, the brighter the light, the deeper the shadow. Today, we are dissecting the catastrophic collapse of that empire. We are moving beyond the headlines to analyze the federal indictment that has placed Sean Combs behind bars at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, denied bail not once, but twice. This is not a story about a celebrity scandal. This is a forensic examination of an alleged criminal enterprise disguised as a music label, a timeline of coercion, and the legal mechanics that convinced 2 federal judges that one of the most famous men on earth was too dangerous to walk free. The unraveling began not with the federal agents swarming his properties, but with a legal filing that broke the dam of silence. In November 2023, Cassie Ventura, Combs' former partner and artist, filed a civil lawsuit detailing years of physical abuse, sexual slavery, and psychological torment. For years, rumors had circulated in the industry, whispers about his temper, about the dark energy surrounding his inner circle, but they were always dismissed as the collateral damage of genius. The Ventura lawsuit gave those whispers a voice and a name. Although the suit was settled in record time, literally 1 day after filing, the damage was irreversible. The details within the complaint were too specific, too harrowing to be ignored by federal investigators who, unbeknownst to the public, were already watching. The turning point, the moment the court of public opinion issued its verdict before a jury could even be selected, came months later. CNN released surveillance footage from 2016, captured in the hallway of the Intercontinental Hotel in Los Angeles. The grainy video showed Combs running down the hallway wearing only a towel, chasing Ventura. It showed him grabbing her by the back of the neck, throwing her to the floor, kicking her while she lay motionless, and then dragging her body back toward the room like a piece of luggage. This visual evidence stripped away any defense of he said, she said. It revealed a capacity for raw, kinetic aggression that contradicted the polished image of the brother love persona. It showed a man comfortable with exerting total physical dominance, and crucially for the federal case building against him, it corroborated the specific allegations of physical enforcement that would later appear in the indictment. On September 16, 2024, the United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York unsealed an indictment charging Sean Combs with 3 specific devastating counts: racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, and transportation to engage in prostitution. To understand the severity of this, we must analyze the first charge, racketeering. This is a charge built on the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, RICO. RICO was originally designed to dismantle the mafia. It allows prosecutors to charge a leader not just for the crimes they committed with their own hands, but for the crimes committed by their underlings on their behalf. The government alleges that Bad Boy Entertainment was not just a business, it was a criminal enterprise. The indictment paints a picture of a sophisticated organization where security guards, personal assistants, and household staff were weaponized to facilitate the sexual desires and control mechanisms of the boss. This Combs enterprise, as the feds call it, allegedly operated with a singular purpose: to satisfy Combs' power cravings and to protect him from law enforcement. The core of the indictment revolves around what Combs allegedly called freak-offs. These were not parties. They were, according to prosecutors, elaborate, coerced sexual performances. The government alleges that Combs would fly female victims and male sex workers across state lines, triggering the Mann Act, to participate in marathon sexual sessions that could last for days. The logistics described in the indictment are chilling in their industrial nature. Prosecutors alleged that Combs and his staff would stockpile supplies for these events, including cases of baby oil, lubricants, and controlled substances. The victims were allegedly kept compliant through the distribution of narcotics, ketamine, ecstasy, and GHB. But the most sinister element was the recording. The indictment claims that Combs filmed these acts without the participants' consent, creating a library of compromat, collateral that could be used to silence victims if they ever threatened to speak out. A central question in any case involving long-term abuse is, why didn't they leave? The indictment provides a forensic answer to this question, detailing a system of soft and hard coercion. The soft coercion involved the allure of stardom. Combs was the gatekeeper. For an aspiring singer or model, a word from Diddy could mean a career, and his displeasure could mean oblivion. He allegedly used this leverage to lure victims into his orbit. Once there, the financial dependency began. Victims were allegedly given allowances, housing, and cars, all titled in the names of the enterprise, meaning they could be stripped away in an instant. The hard coercion was the physical threat. The indictment details incidents of arson, specifically referencing the firebombing of a convertible belonging to a rival rapper, widely believed to be Kid Cudi, and the brandishing of firearms. The message was clear. The enterprise has reach, it has weapons, and it has no boundaries. This psychological conditioning created a wall of silence. Witnesses were terrified. They believed that Combs was untouchable, that his connections to law enforcement, politicians, and the media would insulate him from consequences. For 30 years, they were right, until they weren't. Following his arrest in the lobby of a Manhattan hotel, Combs' legal team, led by high-profile defense attorneys, immediately moved for bail. They proposed a package that, on paper, seemed overwhelming. They offered a $50 million bond, secured by his Miami mansion and his mother's home. They offered to surrender his passport, to sell his private jet, to accept 24-hour home detention with GPS monitoring, and to strictly limit his visitors to family only. In a standard white-collar case, or even many standard felony cases, this package would have been sufficient. But this was not a standard case. The first hearing was before Magistrate Judge Robin Tarnofsky. The prosecution argued that Combs was a chronic danger to the community and, more critically, a massive obstruction of justice risk. They argued that money was irrelevant because the danger Combs posed wasn't just physical flight. It was his ability to manipulate the narrative and the witnesses from behind the walls of his estate. The prosecutors presented details of what they called obstructionist behavior. They alleged that in the weeks leading up to the arrest, as Combs knew the indictment was coming, he began reaching out to potential witnesses. He allegedly sent text messages to victims, pleading for support, referencing their love, and trying to secure their loyalty. In one instance, detailed by prosecutors, he allegedly tried to get a witness to publish a statement claiming that her relationship with him was consensual, despite previously settling a lawsuit regarding abuse. Judge Tarnofsky denied bail, citing the power imbalance between Combs and his accusers. She noted that abuse often happens behind closed doors and that no amount of GPS monitoring could prevent him from picking up a burner phone or using a third party to send a message to a witness. The defense appealed to District Judge Andrew Carter. They argued that the conditions at the Metropolitan Detention Center, MDC, in Brooklyn were inhumane, citing recent stabbings, suicides, and a lack of medical care, and that Combs, a man of 54, was not built for such an environment. They argued that the government's case was based on consensual relationships turned sour and that he had a right to prepare for his trial in a setting where he could review the terabytes of digital evidence against him. Judge Carter listened, but he too was swayed by the specter of witness tampering. The prosecution's argument regarding the freak-offs was pivotal here. They argued that if Combs did indeed possess recordings of these sexual acts, the mere existence of those tapes was a gun to the head of every victim. If he were released, he could leak those tapes, destroy them, or use them to ensure silence. The risk was not that he would run to a non-extradition country. The risk was that he would destroy the integrity of the trial before it began. Judge Carter upheld the detention order. The government has proven by clear and convincing evidence that no condition or set of conditions will reasonably assure the safety of the community, he ruled. The phrase safety of the community here extended to the safety of the truth and the safety of the witness's mental state. With bail denied, Sean Combs now sits in the special housing unit of the MDC, separated from the general population for his own protection. This is a profound fall from grace. The man who once commanded a staff of butlers and assistants is now subject to headcounts and cafeteria trays. His legal team has previewed their defense strategy. They will likely argue that the freak-offs, while perhaps morally questionable to a jury, were consensual encounters between adults. They will attack the credibility of the witnesses, likely highlighting the financial settlements they have received or are seeking. They will argue that the government is criminalizing a lifestyle, albeit a hedonistic one, and overreaching by applying RICO statutes to what they will characterize as complicated romantic entanglements. However, the RICO charge is a formidable beast. The government does not need to prove that Combs personally committed every act. They only need to prove that he agreed to the commission of the crimes and that he led the enterprise. The pattern of racketeering activity allows prosecutors to introduce evidence of crimes going back over a decade, painting a portrait of sustained criminality rather than isolated incidents. Furthermore, the sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion charge carries a mandatory minimum sentence of 15 years and a maximum of life in prison. If convicted on all counts, Sean Combs will die in federal prison. The denial of bail for Sean Combs signals a definitive shift in the cultural and legal tolerance for powerful men accused of systemic abuse. For decades, the music industry has operated under a code of silence, a boys' club mentality, where excess and exploitation were viewed as the perks of stardom. The rock star lifestyle was a shield against accountability. This case dismantles that shield. It suggests that federal prosecutors are no longer intimidated by wealth or celebrity status. The fact that they moved for detention and won against a defendant with nearly limitless resources sends a chilling message to the enablers mentioned in the indictment. The assistants, the security guards, the accountants who allegedly facilitated the freak-offs and the payouts, they are now in the crosshairs. The RICO structure puts immense pressure on these lower-level participants to flip, to provide testimony against the boss in exchange for leniency. We are likely to see a parade of plea deals in the coming months. The Combs enterprise, built on loyalty and fear, is facing the ultimate stress test. When the ship sinks, the crew rarely stays on board. The saga of Sean Diddy Combs is a tragedy of Shakespearean proportions. It is a story of hubris, of a man who believed he could bend reality to his will, who believed that his wealth could purchase not just luxury, but immunity. The denial of bail is the first act of the finale. It strips him of his greatest weapon, his ability to project power. Stripped of his entourage, his phone, and his mansion, he is just defendant 93048. The upcoming trial promises to be a spectacle, exposing the dark underbelly of the entertainment industry. It will detail the mechanics of the freak-offs, the flow of illicit drugs, and the systematic breaking of human spirits. But for now, the music has stopped. The parties are over. The lights in the Hamptons house are dark. And Sean Combs, the man who wanted to rule the world, is learning the hard limits of his power from the inside of a concrete cell. The justice system, often criticized for being two-tiered, has, in this instance, closed the gate. The message is stark and undeniable. No one is too big to fall. As we await the trial, the world watches not with the adoration of fans, but with the morbid curiosity of witnesses to a demolition. The architecture of the Combs legacy is crumbling, brick by brick, allegation by allegation, and in the silence of the detention center, one has to wonder if he hears the echoes of the empire he built, or the whispers of the victims he allegedly silenced, finally speaking their truth to power.